So this is your first filming assignment. You're going to be using one of these camcorders to create some examples of the 6 different camera movements, which are pan, tilt, truck, pedestal, dolly, and zoom. So camcorders, real basic. We're not going to use these a lot. You could use them if you wanted to do like a found footage type of thing, but for the most part, these are pretty old school. We just do them because they're very easy to use and not too complicated. You've got the lens opening here on the side. There's a little switch for that. You've got a screen that'll open and power up. When you open it, it should power up. If it doesn't do that, there's a little on-off button. And the SD card is where all your footage is going to be stored. That slides in right there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm trying to do everything with one hand. I'm going to go ahead and put my SD card in there. I want to slide it in with the name facing out. And just be gentle with it. You just want to push it in like that. And then I'm going to close the door. Okay, and got to make sure that my door is open. So there we go. If you didn't see earlier, I've got the SD card in there. It pops out like that. You push it in gently like so, and then close the door. So what you're going to be doing is doing some recording. The record button is right there at the back. You're going to just be moving around as we discuss in class with the movements. And then for the only other thing you should need to know is for the zoom, is that right there at the top. That's going to be your zoom. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. You're going to get the examples of those 6 different camera movements, and it doesn't really matter like what you have on the shot. I just need to be able to see clearly that you understand the idea of the movement. So when you've got your footage done, here's how you're going to get it out. You got the little door right here. We're going to slide that back. You just push gently, and it's going to pop out. There's your SD card. You got a slot for SD card readers on your computer. It should be right here. Sometimes people damage it by like forcing it in too hard or pushing it in the wrong way. A few of my computers don't have a working SD card reader for that reason, and I'll have to give you a separate one that you can use. But most of you have it working. You're just going to put it in with, again, the label needs to be up, and I'm going to push it in very gently. It will not go in all the way. It'll stick out kind of partially like that. And that's it. So when you pop it in, first, if you don't already have it open, you're going to need to open up File Explorer, which is pinned down at the bottom of your screen. Should be still there. I'm looking on over here on the side of my computer, and on my computer it showed up as the F drive, and it's named Eastwood because that's the name of the film director that's on the card. When I open that up, I have DCIM, and then it's got, I think this is supposed to be the, yeah, it's got the right date. What are the odds? So it's got today's date on it, and there is my videos. So what I'm going to do with these videos is I'm going to take them, I want to take them off of this device because I don't want anybody else to have it. And I'm going to go to that tutorials folder that I made on my desktop. I made a couple of them because I have different students that I was trying to show tough stuff to. I'm going to go to my tutorials folder, and then I'm going to, I've got it still here from last year. I'm going to go ahead and delete my examples from last year, and I'm going to paste these new examples that I just made. Okay, so there is my examples, and now I'm going to go ahead and open up Premiere. I'm going to go ahead and make a new project. I'm going to call this Camera Movements. And instead of going in Land Your Run, I'm going to choose the location. Let's just put it in the tutorials folder. Camera Movements in the tutorials folder. Bro, I just want to save it. Oh, fine. I will delete the S, and now it'll let me just save that. Okay, so it's called Camera Movement, not Camera Movements now. What's the difference? Not a big difference. I don't need a template, and I'm going to skip import mode. So let's go to Create. I should be in the editing mode. If you don't have this unlocked, make sure you go up here, show the tabs, and make sure you're in editing mode, and if it needs to be reset, you can reset it so it looks kind of like this. I can either click the blue button or I can just double tap, and in tutorials I've got my camera movements, and I want to select all of those. If you're not sure how to select more than one file like I just did, you can always just hold Shift. So what I do is I select one, I hold the Shift key, and then I select the rest and it'll select them in order for me. Okay, so I filmed mine in order. I want you to make sure that you put yours in order. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to make a sequence. So let's go up here to File, New, and we're going to make a sequence. I want to be filming it, I want to be editing at 24 frames per second, and I'm at 1080p, so I'm going to hit OK. And if I'm not sure what movement I have, it looks like that, they're out of order here. So I am going to start with, the instructions say to start with tilt. Okay. So I don't need the full clip. I just want enough of the clip to see that I know you know how to tilt. So I can see right there, that's a pan. I got it wrong, that's a pan. I take that back. So I'm moving around a bit. I'm gonna just take this last one. So I started here. Where did that end? Right there, that's good right there. That shows me a pan left in this case. Okay, so to make my label, I'm gonna go to my text tool and I'm gonna go number 1, pan at the bottom. So I've provided an order that is going to help me keep track of your grades. If you don't remember, it's down at the bottom of the assignment. Nope, that's the wrong assignment. Let's go to basic camera movement. So pan, tilt, truck, pedestal, dolly, zoom is our order. So I've gone ahead and done that. Let me shorten that. I'm gonna just have the pan starting, the text starting at the beginning and all that. You can make it look a little nicer if you want, but that's really all I'm looking for. I could also align it here in the middle, shrink down my box so it's not too big, and align it in the middle. There you go. And that's the basics of how you're gonna do each of the camera movements. Just make sure that you do them in order, please. Okay, once you've got those, there's a couple other things you need to do besides just your 6 camera movements. I did not mention that I don't need any audio from these. So if you can either mute the track, that's what the M stands for, or you could turn it down all the way. But I think muting is more convenient. So now anything that's in this row, this first A1 track, is not gonna make any sound at all. Okay, next up, I want you to put your name on it. Actually, I want you to put your name, and we're gonna get some sound later. So I need 2 lines. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here to Captions and Graphics, and I'm gonna find something that has a little, like a title. There's one that has like 2 lines for the title. Maybe let's search up here for title. Let's see what that comes up with. Okay, I got title. And this will be perfect because it's got the space for the title, and then it's got a lower box as well. So I'm gonna use that. I'm just gonna drag that in like so. And right now it's blank, but you can see it's gonna animate like that. Hopefully the right font shows up. As you can see, that is a different looking font. I'm not sure why on my computer the font is wrong, but whatever. I'm gonna put your name. You, of course, are not gonna put the words your name. You're going to actually put your name. So you can use any of these that you like, but I like this one because it's got 2 lines and I'm gonna need the second line in a second. So those are nice and convenient. They're already made for you. You can shorten them. If you wanna shorten it, it'll automatically keep the fade out and everything. It's just gonna be a little shorter, which is really convenient. So the last thing that I wanna focus on is music, getting some music. So let's go to the assignment once more. So down at the bottom of this assignment, I've made a link to sources for Creative Commons sounds. So Creative Commons is something we will talk about in the future. Creative Commons is basically a way that you can get stuff for free that you are allowed to use for your projects. And there's lots of different sources for them. I've provided a few. If you know of a few others, that's fine. But I basically just want something that is going to allow me to use their music for free, but I do need to give credit. That's why I put always give credit. So Creative Commons means it is made by somebody and they deserve credit, but we gotta make sure that we give them the credit, or, you know, that's not very nice. I'm gonna use Bensound. Bensound is a good free one. We're gonna make sure that we go to free music. make sure you're getting one that says free download. If you go to Browse Music, he's got a lot more stuff that he'll want you to pay for. It really does not make any difference at all which one you use. I'm going to go to free download, and it says you must include attribution text to get access to this music. So he provides a little bit more than just his name. So I want to download this, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in that tutorials folder and side camera movements, and I'm going to save it there. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this attribution text, and I'll go ahead and paste my text right here. Okay, so there's my attribution text, and then the music I'm going to bring in. There's a couple of different ways we can do it. I'm going to go to the folder I just made, the inside camera movements. I'm going to take one repeat, on repeat, on repeat, MP3, and I'm going to drag it in there. Okay. So there is our file. Now, it is much, much longer than we need for our video, because your video shouldn't be too long. If you've got 6 clips, they're all pretty short clips. I'd say 30 seconds is about the maximum you need to make this video. So I'm going to shorten it down to about 30 seconds. Depending on how long your clips are, it may be slightly different, but they really don't need to be very long at all. What I want you to be able to do, though, is be able to raise and lower the volume so it's not just cutting out and abruptly. So this line, if you don't see it, you can always zoom in. Like, it's too small right now, I can't see it. But if I use the little handlebars there to zoom in, I can go ahead and see that line, and that represents the volume. If I raise it up, you can see it gets louder, and if I raise it down, it's going to be normal volume. I want it to just stay the same. I'm going to go Control-Z so it just goes back. Control-Z is very useful. It always undoes whatever you just did. So I want to have a gradual rise. So I'm going to use, there's a couple of different ways to do this. Let's go back to editing. There's a couple of different ways to do this. Easiest way, in my opinion, is to hold down Control. So when I'm on this line and I'm not holding anything, it'll just let me raise or lower the whole line. If I hold down Control, it changes, so it's this little dot. You can also do this with the little pen tool, but I think it's easier to just do it this way. So hold Control, and we're going to make some dots. So what those dots represent is, now those are called keyframes. So I can use that to lower or raise my volume. If I want to get real fancy, I can click it, still holding Control, and it'll make my little arms here. I can raise it or lower it like that. But if you hold it without Control, it will just let you move it up and down. I want to fade it out at the end. Oh, I don't want that kind of line. I want that. Maybe I changed my mind. I don't want that. I just want a regular old keyframe. So I want you to raise the volume up at the end, up at the beginning, and close it at the end. So I'm going to make another little dot there for this keyframe, and I'm going to lower that so the music should fade in and out. There is another way you can do this. I'm going to show you real quick. Is if you just drag this guy right here. That will also do the same thing. I want you to raise or lower music one way or the other. And that, the keyframes gives you a lot more control, but that's a real quick way to do it too. So once you've done, you're going to export. Make sure you've got all 6 of your videos and they're labeled in the correct order, and make sure that you've got your name with the attribution credit at the beginning of your video.